our audience is largely wannabe entrepreneurs in India. And I feel like all of us have so much to learn from you because you've done it so many times over in so many different domains.
Yeah.
So we will speak to them today, and I will try and center all my questions in that direction so they can take advantage of this conversation and maybe take a chance and build something. You want a coffee?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Are we going to be talking for a while?
I hope we are.
Okay. Sure.
Meghna,
May I trouble you for a coffee?
can we get another coffee?
Cappuccino, I guess. All right.
Are you a coffee drinker, Elon?
Yeah. I mean, I have coffee once, usually in the mornings,
Okay. One a day kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
You want to wait for it?
No, I'm good.
The first thing I must say is you're a lot bigger and bulkier, muscular than I would have thought you are.
Oh, stop. You're making me blush.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, look, on the internet, I'm small,
You're essentially, what percentage of internet is spent on Twitter? Is there a number to it? On X?
Well, so we have like about 600 million monthly users. Although it can spike up if there's some major event in the world, it can get up to, I don't know, 800 million or a billion if there's some major event in the world. So there's, I don't know, 250 to 300 million per week type of thing. It's a pretty decent number. And it tends to be readers, people that read words. So.
Do you think that'll change?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of video on the X system, but at this point, increasing amounts of video. But I think where the X network is strongest is among people who think a lot and read a lot. So that's where it's going to be strongest because we have words. and so among readers, writers, and thinkers, I think X is number one in the world.
As far as social media goes, the form factor, if you had to wager a guess for tomorrow, how much is text, how much is video? I've heard you speak about maybe voice and hearing being the next form of communication with AI. What happens to X in its true form? How does it evolve?
Yeah, so I do think most interaction is going to be video in the future. Most interaction is going to be real-time video with AI. So real-time video comprehension, real-time video generation. That's going to be most of the load. And that's how it is for most of the internet right now. It's most of the internet is video. Text is a pretty small percentage, but the text tends to be higher value generally, or it's more densely compressed information. So, but if you say what is the most amount of bits generated and compute spent, it's certainly going to be video.
So I used to be a shareholder of X, a very small one.
Okay.
And I got paid when you bought it, when you bought Twitter and you made it X. Happy decision? Glad you did it?
Yeah, I think it was important. I felt like Twitter was heading in, or had gone in a direction that had sort of more of a negative influence on the world. It was. I mean, of course, this depends on one's perspective. Some people will say, well, actually, they liked the way it was, and now they don't like it. But I think the fundamental thing was that Twitter was amplifying I would say, pretty far left by most people's standards in the world's ideology because of where it was based in San Francisco. So, and they actually suspended a lot of people on the right. So from their perspective, even someone in the center would be far right. If you're far left, anyone in the center is far right because it's just on the political spectrum. They're just as far left as you get in the United States and in San Francisco. So what I've tried to do is just restore it to be balanced and centrist. So there haven't been any left-wing voices that have been suspended or banned or de-amplified or anything like that. Now some of them have chosen to just go somewhere else. But at this point, it is the operating principle of the X system is to adhere to any country's laws, but not to put our thumb on the scale beyond the laws of a country.
When I think of social media, thank you. When I think of social media, Elon, I feel like even data suggests that the current incumbents seem to be losing traction amongst the youngest of audience.
Yeah.
Even platforms like Instagram, they're not exactly like Twitter, but platforms across the board. If one had to rework social media and build something bottom up, what do you think could work for the world of tomorrow?
Well, I don't think that much about social media, to be frank. I can mostly just want to have something where there's in the case of X, kind of a global town square, where people can say what they want to say with words, pictures, video, where there's a secure messaging system. We've recently added the ability to do audio and video calls. So really trying to bring the world together into a collective consciousness. And that's, I guess, different from just saying, like, what is the most dopamine-generating video stream that one could make? Which, I think can be a little bit of brain rot, frankly. If you're just watching videos that just cause dopamine hits one after another, but lack substance, then I think those are not great. That's not a great way to spend time. But I do think that's actually what a lot of people are going to want to watch. So if you say like total internet usage, it's going to probably be optimizing for, neurotransmitter generation. Like there's somebody getting like a kick out of it.
Right.
But it becomes like a drug type of thing. Right. So, but I'm not really after. My goal is not to do that. I guess I could do that if I wanted to, but I just want to really have a global platform that brings together. Like I said, it becomes as close to sort of a collective consciousness of humanity as possible. And one of the things that we've introduced, for example, is automatic translation. So because I think it would be great to bring together what people say in many different languages, but automatically translated for the recipient. So you have the collective consciousness, not just of say people in a particular language group, but you have the thoughts of people in every language group.
And why is that important, Elon? Collective consciousness, to have one platform.
I guess. Why is that important? I guess it's. You could also say like why. If you consider humans, like humans are composed of around 30 to 40 trillion cells, and there's trillions of synapses in your mind. But but there's no the why of it. I mean, I guess it's just so we can increase our understanding, increase our understanding of the universe. So I guess I had this sort of question about what's the meaning of life. Like why is anything important? Why are we here? What's the origin of the universe? What is the end? What are the questions that we don't even know to ask? And probably the questions we don't even know to ask are the most important ones. So I'm just trying to, I guess, understand what's going on. What is going on in this reality? Is this reality?
And, and where did you get when you asked, what is the point of life?
Yeah, so I came to the conclusion that, which is somewhat in the Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy school of thought, which is
42.
Yeah, he sort of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is like a book on philosophy disguised as humor.
Yeah,
and that's where you get Earth turns out to be this computer to figure out the answer of the meaning of life. And it comes up with the answer 42. But then it's like, what the heck's 42 mean? And it turns out, well, actually the hard part is the question, not the answer. And for that, you need a much bigger computer than Earth. So basically what Douglas Adams was saying is that we actually don't know how to frame the questions properly. So I think by expanding the scope and scale of consciousness, we can better understand what questions to ask about the answer that is the universe.
Do you believe the collective consciousness of society? When I was watching this movie recently called The Gladiator, Russell Crowe. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
In Gladiator in Rome, when people are fighting and the crowd is cheering when people kill each other, the collective is very much like the mob. It doesn't have nuance in its opinion per se.
Well, that's a particular kind of mob. I mean, they're sort of going there to see people kill each other,
Do you suspect the society we live in today is very different?
Well, we don't generally, at this point, we don't, go watch people kill each other.
Maybe some kind of euphemism of that.
Sports, I suppose. So people do sports without, where teams attempt to defeat each other, but minus the death.
Right.
So just going back to the consideration of a human, we all started out as one cell, but now we are over 30 trillion cells. But I think most people feel like they're one body. Usually your right hand's not fighting your left hand type of thing, It's to sort of cooperate. Your mind is, just a vast number of neurons. But most of the time it doesn't feel like there's, a trillion voices in your brain. Hopefully not. So there's clearly more that happens when you have trillions of cells working as a cellular collective than, say, one cell or a small, small multicellular creature. There's clearly something different that happens. Like you can't talk to a bacteria,
Yeah.
It's very silent. They just sort of wiggle around and. From their perspective, I don't know. I was sort of, what is life like from the perspective of an amoeba, But I know you can't talk to an amoeba. Like they don't talk back. but you can talk to humans. So there's just something obviously qualitatively, fundamentally different for humans once you have a large number of cells and sufficiently large brain type of thing. You can now talk to humans. And they can say things, they can produce things. But bacteria are not going to produce a spaceship, for example. But humans can. So I think there's something qualitatively different that also happens when there's a collection of humans. In fact, it's safe to say that a single human cannot make a spaceship. I could not make a spaceship by myself. But with a collection of humans, we can make spaceships. So there's something obviously qualitatively different about a collection of humans. In fact, it would be impossible for me to learn all of the areas of expertise. There wouldn't be enough time in one lifetime to even learn all the things before I was dead. So you really fundamentally have to have a collection of humans to make a rocket. Then I think there are probably some other qualitative scaling things that happen when you have groups of humans, and then if the quality of the interaction, or the quality of the information flow is the better it is, the more the human collective will achieve. And like I said, I'm just curious about the nature of the universe, and I think it's safe to say, like if we increase the scope and scale of consciousness, we're much more likely to understand the nature of the universe than if we reduce it.
Is that a bit like spirituality? A lot of people talk to me about spirituality.
Right.
I still don't know what it actually means. Like, I keep asking them, what do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have spiritual feelings.
Right.
And I wouldn't try to deny that those spiritual feelings are real to them. But it doesn't entirely translate. I can't, just because somebody else has a spiritual feeling doesn't mean that I would have that spiritual feeling. I tend to be kind of physics pulled, which is like if something has predictive value, then I pay more attention to it than if it doesn't have predictive value.
Right.
Physics, I would say, is the study of that which has predictive value. I think it's a pretty good definition.
My primary job, Elon, is a stockbroker and stock investor.
Okay.
There is no predictive value. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow.
Well, but I think you can generally say, that if it's long term for a company, then you can say, like, well, do you like the products or services of that company, and is it likely to? Do you like the product roadmap? Do you like? It seems like they make great products, and they're likely to make great products in the future. If that's the case, then I would say that's probably a good company to invest in. And I think you also want to believe in the team. So if you're like, well, that's a talented and hardworking team. They make good products today. They seem to be still motivated to make things in the future. Then I'd say that's a good company to invest in.
Fair point.
Yeah, and now that won't solve for the daily fluctuations, which happen and sometimes are pretty extreme. But over time, that is the right way to invest in stocks, because a company is just a group of people assembled to create products and services. So you have to say, well, how good are those products and services? Are they likely to continue to improve in the future? If so, then you should buy the stock of that company, and then don't worry too much about the daily fluctuations.
Right. What's got you most excited now, Elon, in terms of all that you're building? You're doing so much. So let me just preface and contextualize who is watching this. Our audience is largely wannabe entrepreneurs in India.
Okay.
Really ambitious, really hungry, want to take the risk and build something. And I feel like all of us have so much to learn from you because you've done it so many times over in so many different domains.
Yeah.
So we will speak to them today, and I will try and center all my questions in that direction so they can take advantage of this conversation and maybe take a chance and build something.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess the most important thing to do is just make useful products and services.
Which one of all the products and services that you're building has got you most excited today?
Well, I think that there's increasingly a convergence actually between SpaceX and Tesla and xAI. In that if the future is solar-powered AI satellites, which it pretty much needs to be in order to harness a non-trivial amount of the energy of the sun, you have to move to solar-powered AI satellites in deep space, which somewhat is a confluence of Tesla expertise and SpaceX expertise, and xAI on the AI front. So I just feel like over time there's somewhat of a convergence there. But all the companies are doing great things. Very proud of the teams; they do great work. So we're making great progress with Tesla on the autonomous driving. I don't know if you've tried the self-driving. Mm-hmm. Have you tried it?
I've tried it in the Waymo, not in the Tesla.
Yeah, it's worth trying. We actually have it here in Austin, so you can.
I'd love to try it.
You can literally just download the Tesla app.
Yeah.
And I think it's open to anyone.
Yeah.
Definitely try it out. I mean, we know how it goes. But we've made a lot of progress with electric vehicles, with battery packs and solar, and very much so with self-driving. So basically, real-world AI. Tesla is the world leader in real-world AI, I would say. So, and then we're going to be making this robot Optimus, which is, starting production hopefully summer next year, at scale. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. That'll be like, I think everyone's going to want their own personal C-3PO, R2-D2, helper robot. Like, it would be pretty cool. And then SpaceX is doing great work with the Starlink program, providing low-cost, reliable internet throughout the world. Hopefully India. We'd love to be operating in India. That would be great. We're operating in 150 different countries now with Starlink.
Can you give me a bit about Starlink and how the tech works? Because somebody I was speaking to, I don't know if you know this company called Meter out of San Francisco. They're trying to replace network engineers. But
don't know it now.
So he was telling me about how in densely populated areas, Starlink works differently than it might be in a place with not as many people. Can you explain how it works?
Yeah, so Starlink, there's several thousand satellites in low Earth orbit, and they're moving around 25 times the speed of sound in these, they're zipping around the Earth, basically. And they're at an altitude of about 550 kilometers, which is called generally low Earth orbit. Because they're at low Earth orbit, the latency is low. Like the distance, because the distance is not that far compared to a geostationary satellite, 36,000 kilometers. So you've got thousands of satellites providing low latency, high-speed internet throughout the world, and they are interconnected as well. So there are laser links between the satellites, so it forms sort of a laser mesh, so that if let's say if cables are damaged or cut, like fiber cables, the satellites can communicate between each other and provide connectivity even if the cables are cut. So, for example, when the Red Sea cables were cut, I think a few months ago, the Starlink satellite network continued to function without a hitch. So it's particularly helpful for disaster areas. So if an area has been hit with some kind of natural disaster, floods or fires or earthquakes, that tends to damage the ground infrastructure. But the Starlink satellites still work. So, and generally, whenever there's some sort of natural disaster somewhere, we always provide people with free Starlink internet connectivity. We don't want to charge, we don't take advantage of a tragic situation. So, always, if there's natural disasters, we're like, okay, it's free during the natural disaster. We don't want to say like, put a paywall up while somebody's trying to get help. That would be wrong. So that's it's a very robust system. It's complementary to ground systems because the satellite beams work best in sparsely populated areas, but because you've got a satellite beam, it's a pretty big beam, so you have a fixed number of users per beam. So it tends to be very complementary to the ground-based cellular systems because those are very good in cities because you've got these cell towers that are only a kilometer apart type of thing, but cell towers tend to be inefficient in the countryside. So in rural areas is where you tend to have the worst internet because it's very very expensive and difficult to do all the fiber optic cables or to have high bandwidth cellular towers. So Starlink is very complementary to the existing telecom companies. It basically tends to serve the least served, which I think is good.
Will that change tomorrow? Like today, as you explained, the beam is quite broad and it can't work in a densely populated area with high buildings maybe. But can that change and tomorrow it becomes really efficient in a densely populated city where it is competitive with the local network providers?
It's unfortunately, the physics don't allow for that. So we're too far away. So at 550 kilometers, and even if we try to reduce it, which about as low as we can go is about 350 kilometers, still very far away. You can think of like a flashlight, which is, that flashlight's got a cone, and that cone is coming at, today it's 550 kilometers. In the future, we're trying to get down to 350 kilometers, but we can't beat something that's 1 kilometer away, which the cell tower physics is not on our side here.
Right.
So it's not physically possible for Starlink to serve densely populated cities. Like you can serve a little bit, maybe 1% of the population, and sometimes people get, even in crowded cities, there might be, no fiber link up their road. Like sometimes somebody's on a cul-de-sac or something, or in a place in cities, there's sometimes underserved areas for random reasons. And so Starlink can serve, like I said, maybe 1% or 2% of a densely populated city. But it can be much more effective in, like I said, in rural areas where the internet connection is much worse. And often people either have sometimes no access to internet, or it's extremely expensive, or the quality is not very good. So,
if I were to ask you to wager a guess, Elon, do you think India will go down the path of urbanization like China did, with more people moving in from rural economies to urban centers? Or do you think we'll beat the trend?
I suppose some amount of that has happened, right? I'm curious to sort of ask you some questions as well. Because of course, isn't that the trend, or is it not the trend in India?
It is the trend largely.
Okay.
I think a little bit changed during COVID when a lot of urbanization slowed down, and that was not organic. It was very artificially manifested.
Right.
But one does question that with AI, if productivity were to go up, and I heard you speak about UHI instead of UBI.
Yeah. I think it will be universal high income.
In a world like that, I wonder if more people want to live in cities which are always going to be more polluted and not offer the quality of lifestyle that a rural environment might.
Well, I guess it's up to, some people want to be around a lot of people and some people don't. It's going to be maybe a matter of personal choice. But I think in the future, it won't be, I think it won't be the case that you have to be in a city for your job.
Right.
Because I think my prediction is in the future, working will be optional.
Right. We seem to be moving from, not in India, but in some parts of the West, from 6 days to 5 days to 4 days to 3.
Not me.
I think the Europeans.
Yeah. There's, I think if you're trying to make a startup succeed, or you're trying to make a company do very difficult things, then you definitely need to put in serious hours. I think that's
right.
That's how it goes.
And if we were to move from 5 to 4 to 3 days, how do you think society changes? When people have to work half the week, what do they do with the other half?
Well, I think it'll actually be that people don't have to work at all. And it may not be that far in the future. Maybe only, I don't know, 10, I'd say less than 20 years. My prediction is in less than 20 years, working will be optional. Working at all will be optional. Like a hobby, pretty much.
And that would be because of increased productivity, meaning people do not have to work?
They don't have to. I mean, look, obviously people can play this back in 20 years and say, look, Elon made this ridiculous prediction and it's not true. But I think it will turn out to be true that in less than 20 years, maybe even as little as, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, the advancements in AI and robotics will bring us to the point where working is optional. In the same way that, like, say, you can grow your own vegetables in your garden, or you could go to the store and buy vegetables. It's much harder to grow your own vegetables. but some people like to grow their vegetables, which is fine, But it'll be optional in that way, is my prediction.
If one were to argue that humans are innately competitive and everything is relative, from the time of hunters, somebody wanted to be the alpha hunter or the biggest farmer, if everybody gets a universal high income and everybody has enough,
what do you compete for?
It would be relative, right? Like if we all had enough, enough is not enough.
I guess I'm not exactly sure, because we're really headed into the singularity, as it's called, which they refer to AI sometimes as the kind of like a black hole, like a singularity. You don't know what happens after the event horizon. It doesn't mean that something bad happens; it just means you don't know what happens. I'm confident that if AI and robotics continue to advance, which they are advancing very rapidly, like I said, working will be optional, and people will have any goods and services that they want. If you can think of it, you can have it, type of thing. But then at a certain point, AI will actually saturate on anything humans can think of. And then at that point, it becomes a situation where AI and robotics are doing things for AI and robotics because they've run out of things to do to make the humans happy. Because there's a limit. You say like, people can only eat so much food, or it's going to be. I think if you can think of it, you can have it. Will be the future.
The Austrian School of Economics. If you go back in time, they were the digression from Adam Smith. They talk about the marginal utility of everything. Having one of something has value, having two of the same thing has lesser value, and having 10 of the same thing has no value.
Yes.
So if we could have everything we wanted,
like
maybe
10 marshmallows. I mean, who wants that? One's plenty. They say the marshmallow test. You're like, you can have 2 marshmallows later, or 1 marshmallow now, and I'm like, I'll have 1 marshmallow. I don't want 2 marshmallows.
That's interesting. What would you pick?
I don't like 1 marshmallow is enough. I always question marshmallows as being like not the most, the best candy.
Yeah.
But I don't yearn for marshmallows.
I think you're the best.
Who does?
You're the best testament to the marshmallow experiment. I think.
I suppose so.
Like
delayed gratification, essentially.
Yeah. You're able to delay it more than most. I have a tattoo which says delay gratification.
Yeah, wow, okay. What's this? Okay, you're really taking the marshmallow test on.
I feel like I can't remember. When I'm trading or when I'm buying and
delay gratification, yeah.
It helps.
Wow, okay. That's
commitment. It's pointing at me, so it reminds me of...
Okay, well, it's good advice. I mean, you can't miss it.
If you could if you could get a tattoo, what would you get?
I guess maybe my kids' names or something.
Right. Why do you like the letter X as much as you do?
Well, I mean, well, it's a good question, honestly. Sometimes I wonder what's wrong with me. I mean, it started off with where I think, so way back in ancient times, in '99, the pre-Cambrian era when there were only sponges, there were only 3 one-letter domain names, and I think it's X, Q, and Z, and I was like, okay, I want to create this place where it's the financial crossroads, or like the financial exchange, It's essentially solving money from an information theory standpoint, where the current banking system is a large number of heterogeneous databases with batch processing that are not secure. And if we could have a sort of a single database that was real time and secure, that would be more efficient from an information theory standpoint than a large number of heterogeneous databases that batch process very slowly, insecurely. So that was sort of X.com way back in the day, which kind of became PayPal, and then and it was acquired by eBay. And then someone reached out from eBay and said, "Hey, do you want to buy the domain name back?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I had the domain name for quite a while. And then, yes. Then I was like, well, maybe this acquiring Twitter would also be an opportunity to revisit the original plan of X.com, which is to create this like clearinghouse of financial transactions, like basically to create a more efficient money database is a way to think about it. Is like people, like money is really an information system for labor allocation. Like people sometimes think money is power in and of itself, but it doesn't really. If there's no labor to allocate, it's meaningless. So if you were to be on a desert island with $1 trillion, dollars or whatever, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, right. Why speculate when you can be real? I just hope I don't end up on the desert island. It's not going to be very useful to me. But it illustrates my point that if you're stranded on a desert island with $1 trillion, it's not useful because there's no labor to allocate. You just allocate yourself. So it's this long-winded way of saying that it's just really like I'm just kind of slowly revisiting this idea that I had 25 years ago to create a more efficient money database. And if that's successful, people will use it, and if it's not successful, they won't use it. And then I also like the idea of like sort of having a unified app or website or whatever where you can do you can do anything you want there. So sort of China has this with WeChat,
right,
somewhat, where you can exchange information, you can publish information, you can exchange money, you can, people kind of live their life on WeChat in China. It's quite useful, but there's no real WeChat outside of China. So it's kind of WeChat plus, I'd say, is the idea for X. Anyway, so then Space Exploration Technologies is the full name of the company, but it's that's too much, that's a mouthful. So I was we'll just call it SpaceX, like FedEx for space. Mm-hmm. It just happens to have an X in the, because exploration has an X, but, and I was well, I like the idea of capitalizing the X just artistically. So, then that's why it's SpaceX. But, and then, what else we got? We got a kid. He's called X2. But his mother is the one that named him X. And I said, people are really going to think I've got to think about X if we name our kid X2, And I said to her, look, I do have X.com, So people are going to really think I've got somewhat of a fetish for this letter. But she said, no, she likes X and she wants to call him X. I'm like, okay.
Is this a new thing or have you had it growing up?
No, I'm saying it's somewhat of a coincidence, not everything's called X. I mean, there's no X's in Tesla,
What do you think money will be in the future, Elon?
I think long term, I think money disappears as a concept. Honestly, it's kind of strange, but in a future where anyone can have anything, I think you no longer need money as a database for labor allocation. If AI and robotics are big enough to satisfy all human needs, then money is no longer, its relevance declines dramatically. I'm not sure we will have it. So, the best sort of imagining of this future that I've read is from Ian Banks, the culture books. So I recommend people read the culture books. In this sort of far future of the culture books, they don't have money either. And everyone can pretty much have whatever they want. So there's still some fundamental currencies, if you will, that are physics-based. So energy is the true currency. This is why I said Bitcoin is based on energy. You can't legislate energy. You can't just, pass a law and suddenly have a lot of energy. It's very difficult to generate energy, or especially to harness energy in a useful way to do useful work. So I think that probably we won't have money, and probably we'll just have energy, power generation as the de facto currency. So, I think one way to frame civilizational progress is the percentage completion on the Kardashev scale. So, Kardashev 1 is what percentage of a planet's energy are you successfully turning into useful work? And I'm maybe paraphrasing here a little bit, but the Kardashev 2 would be what percentage of the sun's energy are you converting into useful work? Kardashev 3 would be what percentage of the galaxy are you converting into useful work? So things really, I think, become energy-based.
Mm-hmm. But if you have solar-powered AI satellites, energy is also free and abundant, because we'll never be able to utilize all the solar energy available to us. So it can't be a store of wealth, essentially, in that sense, can it?
There's not really, you can't really store wealth in you can only, you can accumulate numbers currently you can accumulate numbers in a database that allow you to to some degree, to incent the behavior of other humans in particular directions.
Yeah.
And I guess people call that wealth. But again, if there's no humans around, there's no wealth accumulation is meaningless.
This is a digression, but if you were to consider food as the energy for a human to thrive.
Yeah, food is energy. It's literally got calories, just means energy.
Yeah. So can a farm which is self-sustaining be a commodity that is?
I'm not sure what that means, but there's. I think at a certain point you do complete the cycle where, and I think at a certain point you decouple from the sort of conventional economy if you have AI and robots producing chips and solar panels, and mining resources in order to make chips and robots, in order to make, you sort of complete that cycle. Once that cycle is complete, I think that's the point at which you decouple from the monetary system.
Is that the way forward for the US by virtue of how much debt they have today? Do they deflate away their currency and transition into this new form and lead that push because it would make more sense to them?
Well, in this future that I'm talking about, the notion of countries becomes sort of anachronistic.
Do you believe in it today? Do you believe in countries?
I certainly believe in it today. And I want to just separate something that these are just what I think will happen based on what I see, as opposed to I think these are fundamentally good things and I'm trying to make them happen. It's like I think this would happen with or without me, whether I like it or not.
Right.
As long as civilization keeps advancing, we will have AI and robotics at very large scale. I think that's pretty much the only thing that's going to solve for the U.S. debt crisis. Because currently the U.S. debt is insanely high, and the interest payments on the debt exceed the entire military budget of the United States. Just the interest payments, and that's at least in the short term going to continue to increase. So I think actually the only thing that can solve for the debt situation is AI and robotics, but it will more than it might cause. I guess it probably would cause significant deflation because deflation or inflation is really the ratio of goods and services produced to the change in the money supply. So if goods and services output increases faster than the money supply, you will have deflation. If goods and services decreases, if real goods and services output increases slower than the money supply, you have inflation. It's that simple. People sometimes try to make it more complicated than that, but it just isn't. So if you have AI and robotics and a dramatic increase in the output of goods and services, probably you will have deflation. That seems likely. Because you will simply won't be able to increase the money supply as fast as you can increase the output of goods and services. Supply is a real hazard here.
Should we do something about it?
Maybe we can convince it to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Entice it elsewhere.
It actually left, I think.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's back. Maybe it's attracted to the light. If deflation
I want some coffee.
Mine is over. If deflation is inevitable because of AI, why do
it's
we
most likely the case, yeah.
Right. Why do we have inflation again all over in society today? Has AI not led to increased productivity yet?
AI has not yet made enough of an impact on productivity to increase the goods and services faster than the increase in the money supply. So the U.S. is increasing money supply quite substantially with, deficits that are on the order of $2 trillion. So you have to have, goods and services output increase more than that in order to not have inflation. So we're not there yet. But if you say how long would it take us to get there? I think it's 3 years. Probably 3 years before. In 3 years or less, my guess is goods and services output will exceed the rate of inflation. Goods and services growth will exceed money supply growth in about 3 years.
Maybe after those 3 years, you have deflation and then interest rates go to zero and then the debt is a smaller problem than it is.
Yes.
Right?
That's most likely the case.
You spoke about being in a simulation earlier. I love The Matrix.
Yes.
If you were to be a character from The Matrix, who would you be?
Well, there's not that many characters to pick from, Hopefully not Agent Smith. He's my hero. I mean, Neo's pretty cool. The Architect is interesting.
The Oracle.
It's the Oracle. Sometimes I feel like I'm an anomaly in the Matrix.
That is Neo.